the board members have received the minutes from May 21st, 2020, and I ask for a motion for approval of those minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from May 21st.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion approved.
There's no personnel items on the agenda for tonight. Next is the claim docket.
Are there any questions by the board on the claim docket? Do I have a motion by the board?
I'll make a motion to approve the claim docket for this month.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion approved. Next item, balance sheet. Any questions by the board on the balance sheet? Then we'll move forward to public comments. Are there any public comments this evening? No? Okay, the next item would be school lunch prices.
Annette Brown went through the yearly calculator process for school lunch, and her recommendation to me and mine to yours is that for high school and middle school lunch prices, they move up 10 cents from $2.50 to $2.60. Elementary moves up 10 cents from $2.35 to $2.45. Breakfast would stay the same at $1.50 across the board. And lunch prices for adults would stay the same at $3.25. So I'm asking for approval on those prices.
Do you have a motion for approval by the board?
I'll make a motion to approve that, the changes to the lunch program.
I'll second that motion.
And all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion approved.
Next, number 8, still got quite a bit in the food service area. So next is we do our bulk group purchasing through NESIC. And so the NESIC Center has chose HPS as the food supplier with Gordon's Food as the distributor. So I'm looking for approval for our food service and commodities.
I'll make a motion to approve the food service commodity.
I'll second it.
All in favor? All opposed? Motion approved.
And then next, I also need approval for the awarded milk contract. And that one is a change. And so NESIC is going to Prairie Farms. They've been awarded the milk contract. I need approval for that.
I'll make a motion to approve the milk contract through Prairie Farms.
I'll second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion approved.
So I was able to show Chad and Melanie a little bit. This is the document on the roof. So we're on number 10, roof inspection. Trimco provided a free visual inspection of all of the flat or rubber membrane roofs. So that's everything at Wanata. And then the gym roof and any of the flat spots on that side of LaCrosse. they were able to look over from that spot to say, I think the roof on the high school looks pretty good too, but they don't have the equipment to get up, and they don't deal with that kind of a roof system. But anything flat or with a rubber membrane, and this document has pictures that coincide with what was in your packet, the $5,000 worth of quoted work, preventative maintenance and fixes. So that's information for tonight, because I would like, maybe the two of you could take that with and go through that, and then next month we can decide if we want to kind of test the waters with this company and see what that 5,000 mitigation will get us. And then we got other things to consider with them, where going as far as having them take over our roof maintenance, so that, you know, their sort of claim to fame is, we will get you the maximum life out of your roof. And it's interesting to see who they're a part of, as far as parent companies and sub companies. I mean, they're a countrywide and well-known group.
And this is the group that was able to use like the infrared to.
So that would be the next step.
Okay, so they did not.
So yeah, so what they've done so far, that was a free inspection.
Okay.
2 guys went up on the roof, they spent an hour at both places, and just from what they could visually see. If we want to take a step further with them, they can do an infrared, and what they're testing for is to check how much moisture is in the insulation.
Gotcha.
And then, so that's a little bit deeper dive. And
Is that part of that 5,000 then? Not necessarily.
no, 5,000 would be to fix what they could visually see
Okay.
was an issue.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Okay.
So that's information, and we will consider that, ponder that for next month.
Okay.
I was impressed by the
Yeah,
by the
that's
document they put together so far.
pretty detailed.
Yeah. And, you know, and probably every roofing contractor says this, but they're real big on, you know, the cheapest roof you'll ever have is the one you've got.
Sure.
The longest life you can get out of it, the better. Okay, and I have the 2 quotes on, it's been, from what we could gather, it's been at least 4 years, if not longer, on seal coating on LaCrosse asphalt surface, all of it. So it's really at the point where it needs to get done. Parts of the parking lot, both companies feel like it's even, maybe it's close to where it needs resurfaced altogether. Big price tag on that I'm not comfortable with right now. So what I'm thinking is we reseal it, and so I have 2 quotes, both of them very close together. The best quote from Boyd Asphalt is at $24,500 to do every square inch of asphalt at Wanatown. What I'm asking for is for an approval not to exceed the $24,500, simply because the last time it was done by B&G Seal Coating, and I wouldn't mind going back to her and seeing if she wants to, you know, match that price. And they've done good work in the past, and consider it that way. But one of those 2 would be at the $24,500.
Do they think they had a guess of how long that might last if we do this as a
Couple years.
2 years.
A couple of years is what they say, yeah.
What did B&G come back at exactly? There's several pages from them.
Yes, the B&G, it takes, I had to do some calculating the way she had it written up, but it comes out just like a little bit over 25, a few hundred over 25.
Gotcha.
And she might want to, I just want to make sure it's apples to apples, and it's the same square footage, the same number of coats, because Boyd says 2 full coats for all that square footage. And I want to see if she, you know, she might have one coat for different parts. So There it's worse.
Oh, she suggests to complete codes.
In some
Patching,
spots.
okay,
Yeah.
oh.
Yep. So if you're comfortable with a not to exceed, one of those two companies will get our parking lot taken care of.
I'll make a motion to get the job done for the 24/5
I'll second it.
maximum.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion approved.
Okay. Number 12, update on the high school strategic plan. When the week started and I got you the first rough draft of the packet, I still hadn't heard anything from Indiana, the historical landmarks of Indiana, or Ratio Architecture, who they had sent down to us. The only thing that we had received was an email from somebody else, well past when I had expected information from them, that it indicated with what was going on, that architect was no longer with the firm. So then Tuesday, I received an email from Todd Zeiger, who's with the historical Indiana Landmarks historical group, and he kind of connected me with the new architect from Ratio that's on that project, and had some questions and more information requested of me. So I turned that back around to them first thing yesterday morning and requested an updated timeline on when they think they'll have information to us. And I haven't received anything yet. So that's where the historical landmarks and Ratio Architecture stands. And the only other thing I want to update you on that is, from my perspective, what I originally came to you with back in February, which is, the clock continues to tick on the facility that we're in with the high school. And my concerns have only grown with what we've all experienced here in 2020. Simply because, to repeat myself, like I've said many times, the condition of the facility is one concern I have. That, along with our budget and our enrollment and our programming, still has me confident that the recommendation I came to you with back in February is still the right direction to go. I'm hoping the Indiana Landmarks can get us some information quickly. I'm trying to find other avenues for getting price comparisons on what work to renovate that old high school could potentially be. I'm trying to figure out what the pathway for that is proper in the eyes of, the attorneys, and how to go about that. So I'm trying to get that information, but I just want you to be aware the clock's still ticking. And I feel like, because of those 4 concerns that go into the mix, that ultimately the best thing for us to do with our high school for long-range health is to be on one campus at Wanata. The new piece added to that is the financial shortfall that's going to come our way as my glasses continue to pick up.
So take it off your nose.
The shortfall that's going to hit, the way that's going to crash over us, makes it even more imperative to me as I look at the budget and as I look at redundancies, and I also look at the programming that I could provide our students and kids while spending less. That's what I want you to continue to ponder, and at some point here in our near future, possibly be prepared to decide what direction we're headed. Okay? So, with that,
Good news though, from the state, from the governor yesterday, compared to.
in the short term,
Yeah.
that was music to my ears. Listen to everything the governor had to say. They're waiving, if we aren't in school full-time in person, they're not going to penalize schools and knock us down from 100% funding to 85% funding. That part was good. He's also said he's not pulling back on the current budget. for us. You know, he's taken some of that pain from other entities and, you know, kind of leave public education alone for right now.
We all know that may not be able to last though, of course.
We all know that at some point, the fact that sales tax and income tax is going to be permanently lowered when that next 2-year budget cycle, we're gonna get less.
Sure.
We're just gonna get less. And we gotta prepare for that, and I'd rather start preparing for it sooner, rather than later, so that's a big part of what I'm concentrating on.
Well, I think we can already make it essential like Riverboat and things like that. I mean, how many other
Yeah,
grants or things like
Everything.
that will be affected?
everything, that little piece of money we get from being in LaPorte County and connected to the casino that comes in, obviously, that's gonna be very much depleted. Sales tax and income tax. Property tax, it'll probably end up being close to okay, but there could be some that doesn't get collected, and all of that will impact us. But on the education side of things, for right now, they're leaving the education budget alone. But it's still all connected. It's two streams of money, but they can flow back and forth and they work together. And the fact remains, I've told you this many times, from the education side of things, we're still essentially in deficit spending. And it comes down to the best way for me to mitigate that is to be able to offer the best services we can, and actually more services, with reduced redundancies. So again, without beating a dead horse, I told you what I believe that amounts to. So there's that update.
I understand we can't wait for them forever. But, I mean, what's the problem? I mean, why can't they?
And let's keep our fingers crossed that what I provided yesterday morning is the last pieces of information, and they can produce something to us, and we can share that with the public, and we'll go from there.
Okay.
So, the minute I get it, you guys will know about it. Superintendent report. You've seen the survey that I put out to our community, and those are coming in. A reminder went out today so that we can get more, because the more data we get, the more reliable it is. And so a couple things that really jump out of what we have received so far. The vast majority, somewhere in the 75 to 80% range of people, want to be back in school in person full time, and they don't want kids to be required to wear masks. So those are the two data points from the survey. Where it sits right now is I'm waiting for an opportunity to talk with the LaPorte Health Department and see if they are going to kind of kick it back and make it a local decision the same way that the state health department and the state governor's office and the state DOE did, to push it back to the local districts to ultimately decide, with some recommendations here and guidelines here, but very few have-tos. And once we have all that, we'll come up with most likely a three-pronged approach, a three-choice plan for what the first week of school will look like, and how we can adjust if need be, if deeper into the fall or winter, if we have to make a change. Okay? So that's the plan on that for now.
Are they supposed to be any changes in sports or athletics or?
Again, that's on a phase model. And right now, everything, they're phasing into all systems go.
Okay.
What are we up to? I think 250 people for a gathering. So that would make it quite difficult to host events. Maybe it might come to pass that we have some sporting events, but have to limit attendance at them. That's a possibility too. But none of that's been ultimately decided yet. Yeah, okay. principals haven't had a lot going on right now, so we don't have a principals report. So, next time, your extracurricular accounts. There again, I doubt you'll see too much change in those.
I'll make a motion to accept the SA5 report.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion approved. Next board meeting, July 16th at LaCrosse, 6 p.m.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Thank you.
I'll second it.
Thank you for everyone's attendance.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. They are double traps, by the way.
Yeah.